Hi, and welcome to Food for Thought Thursday. Today I'm going to show you how to make spaghetti squash. It is one of my most favorite vegetables. It makes a great replacement for pasta. Spaghetti squash is in season in the winter time. That's when it's at its peak freshness, so between August and March. Now, what I like so much about spaghetti squash is that when you compare it to pasta, a cup of cooked spaghetti squash is only 80 calories, whereas whole wheat pasta is 175. That's more than double. And it has more fiber. It has an extra 2 grams of fiber versus whole wheat pasta. And if you look at the carb content, this guy will run you 18 carbs for just a cup, but a cup of whole wheat pasta will run you 37 carbs. So whether you're gluten intolerant or whether you are watching calories or carbs, this is a great substitution for pasta. So when you're shopping for it, you want to make sure that it has absolutely no bruises, no brown spots on it. They stay very stable at shelf temperature or on your counter for a couple weeks, I believe. So the most difficult thing about spaghetti squash is that it's very difficult to cut, and the seeds are kind of hard to scrape out in the beginning. So my recommendations would be, if you don't have any muscle at home to do it for you, have the produce guys do it, and you can cook both halves, or you can refrigerate the other half and cook one half when you get it home. So we're gonna get into this. I'm going to show you how to prepare it, what it looks like after, and some toppings to put on top of it. Okay, so that may look like I actually did the cutting, but I didn't. I cheated. I had my husband cut this in half. Like I said, it's very tough, very, very tough. So I wanted to show you what the inside looks like. If you've ever cut open a pumpkin, it's very similar. It's got the seeds and the kind of stringy stuff, and we need to remove that. And then this flesh, after we cook it, is actually going to pull apart and look like spaghetti strands. It's pretty amazing. Now, the seeds can be a little difficult to remove, and I have for years struggled with it, but I found a great tool. This is actually an avocado slicer. Now, it's never worked well for me because you have to have that perfect size avocado, but you can actually, if you have one of these metal ones, they are fabulous for scraping out the spaghetti squash. Look at this, it just pulls it out like that. It's just virtually, and see, you want the clean part of the spaghetti squash. The seeds, you could save the seeds if you wanted to, and you could dry them at low temperature. I don't tend to do that. And as you can see, got just a little bit of strings, and that's it. So that's the prep. That's the prep, the cutting and the cleaning of the seeds. Now we're going to move on and we're going to cook it. I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we're going to cook the spaghetti squash, and the way I recommend cooking this is by steaming it. There are other methods of preparing it, like microwaving. I really don't recommend that. Steaming is a really good, clean way of getting the perfect squash texture. So I have a double steamer. Now you can cook one piece if you like, but I cook both because spaghetti squash heats up magnificently. So it's absolutely fabulous. So I have a simple steamer, so you put it face down, and you can cook both pieces. And a spaghetti squash about that size will take about 20 minutes. And they come in different sizes. It comes a little smaller. The key behind this is to not overcook it. And if you ever overcook a spaghetti squash, it'll just be really mushy, and it won't be anything like spaghetti strands. So be very cautious. Start very moderately, like at 20 minutes. Come back, we'll check it with a fork, and I'll show you what we're talking about. If it's not quite done, we can always add another 5 minutes. So I simply just turn this on. It's got water in here, and I turn it on 20 minutes, and I let it go. And I'm going to start preparing the sauce that I'm going to put on it. Now you can put any kind of sauce on spaghetti squash that you want. I like the traditional, just some tomato marinara sauce, and I like to put some ground grass-finished beef in my spaghetti sauce. So I'm just preparing my sauce. I really truly believe that everything should be very simple in the kitchen, or you're not likely to cook. So here's what I've done. I've got just a simple marinara sauce that I bought at the store. Has no sugar in it. It's just simply salt, garlic, and tomatoes. And what I've done is I've kind of spiced it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I put some chopped garlic in here, some chopped onions. You can add you could add chopped bell peppers, mushrooms would be really good. And then what I'll add to this is my ground beef. Now it's important that when you buy ground beef that you're getting beef that has no hormones or antibiotics in it. And look for grass-finished beef. That means the cattle have eaten grass their entire life and never grains or corns or soys. And when you get this kind of meat, you can smell the difference. It's amazing. So once I put this meat in the sauce and heat it up, we're going to have a really nice topping for the spaghetti squash. And we're going to have a lot of leftovers too. That's what's great about this dish, because it's not just a one-night dish. There's always leftovers. And I'm going to give you some ideas on what to do with the spaghetti squash in addition to using it with a real pasta sauce. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to test it. Because I cooked both halves, the bottom half is going to be probably really well done and perfect, the top probably not so. So I caution you, make sure that you're wearing some sort of mitt or something because of the steam. And then we'll double check the first one to see if it looks like it's done. See, it still looks the same, but when you take it with a fork, it comes out in strands, just like spaghetti squash. And I think we're going to need an extra 5 minutes, because even this one is still a little tough. So I'm going to switch the two and put that one on the top and put this one on the bottom and give it another 5 minutes. And you really want to do this in 5-minute increments, because if you overcook it, it's gone and it's useless. Okay, so now we've got the spaghetti squash. It's all cooked. And as you can see, when you just take a fork, it just comes out like strands. And so you want to be careful that you use something to protect your hands, because it is very hot. And you can get a lot of these spaghetti strands out of each piece of it. It will literally keep coming and coming out like this. And you can turn it over. It tends to get hot, so you got to be careful. You might have to switch your mitt. I'm feeling like mine's getting a little bit hot here. And then the steam's coming up, so you can get yourself a nice facial while you're doing it too. So yeah, you can see how much is just coming out of just one half of the spaghetti squash. So as I'm doing this, I want to talk to you a little bit more about what you can do. So this is great with any kind of sauce, any kind of spaghetti sauce you want. But you can also you can use this as a substitute for hash browns. So you can fry it up in a little bit of butter, oil, get a little crispy, and that would be a replacement for hash brown potatoes. Save you some more of those carbs. The other thing is you could, if you have a recipe for potato pancakes, you could use this like that, like instead of shredded potatoes, you could do shredded spaghetti squash and make kind of like fake hash browns. That would be pretty cool. Maybe I'll put that on video next. But see how much we're getting out of here? And then, like I said, this really lasts well, and it's very crunchy. So listen to this. It's very crunchy. And you do not lose that when you reheat it. It cooks up and reheats very well. Look at all this. Gosh, I could feed a family of 4. And spaghetti squash is very inexpensive too.
Okay.
Okay, so we're ready to dish up, and you see how much we got out of here. So this is going to serve, gosh, probably 4 meals, depending on how big you or your eaters are in your home. So it looks just like spaghetti like that, like I said. About a cup is 80 calories. Not bad, not bad. So there we go. Very simple. Then I took my very simple marinade and I fixed it up myself. I put some onions, some ground beef, some fresh garlic, as well as some Italian seasonings. And look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? What a wholesome meal. Very hearty. And like I said, if you have any left over, you can obviously have leftovers just like this, or you can use it to make hash browns and save yourself those carbs. Hope you've enjoyed this Food for Thought Thursday, and I hope you will try using spaghetti squash because it's so healthy. It's so full of potassium, and we get so very little potassium. There's more potassium in a cup of this than in one banana. Think about that.